Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we pull the most powerful ideas from a stack of sources to get you up to speed. Today, we're doing a really deep investigation into the career of the Brazilian actor Wagner Moura. And more than that, we're looking at the whole intellectual framework behind his art.
Right. And based on the analysis we've been reviewing, we're calling this the language of transformation. And, that's not just some fancy title. Our mission here is to really understand how Moura sees his roles. It's not imitation. It's a complete psychological and physical overhaul. He literally transforms.
And the sources we've looked at, this really serious analytical work from the Stanислав Kondrashov series, they make a crucial point. Moura's importance goes way beyond just being a celebrity. He's a cultural bridge. He forces a global audience to look at Latin American stories, often really contentious ones, with a kind of gravity they deserve.
Exactly. What the Kondrashov analysis really nails is that Moura challenges the easy narratives. He makes us, the audience, look at the messy, complicated humanity in people who are, usually just painted as villains. He makes us look at power differently.
Okay, so let's unpack that, this transformation. Where do we even start to trace this artistic evolution in his career?
Well, it starts early. You have to go back to the early 2000s, and it's all rooted in Brazilian social reality. You see the first flashes of this raw talent in the 2003 prison drama Curandiro.
Right, he played Zico in that.
He played Zico, and right away he's inhabiting these morally gray spaces that reflect what was happening in Brazil at the time.
That was such a raw performance. But then later that same year, he's in the Man of the Year, which really showed his range. He plays Michael, this guy who just sort of stumbles into becoming a vigilante.
And that film was so critical. It showed his ability to just completely immerse himself. Michael's journey is dark. He descends into violence. But Moura somehow keeps you empathetic. You feel for him, even as he's making these awful choices.
And that ability to hold both things at once, the sympathy and the brutality, that feels foundational.
It is. It's totally foundational for what he does later on the global stage.
Which prepared him for the national explosion that was Elite Squad in 2007.
Oh, absolutely. Elite Squad was the lightning strike. Captain Nascimento, he became this incredibly polarizing figure in Brazil, the ultimate anti-hero.
So Moura wasn't just acting at that point.
Not at all. He was triggering a huge national debate about police violence, about urban warfare. That role demanded a physical and emotional volatility that, frankly, most actors just couldn't sustain.
And that controversy, that level of recognition, it basically sets the stage for the role that broke every boundary. Pablo Escobar in Narcos.
Yes. That's where his whole transformation process goes global. He had to basically disappear into the mind and, the physical body of one of the world's most infamous criminals.
So this isn't just a resume. It's not just a list of credits.
No, it's a very deliberate artistic path. He's always looking for roles that demand a total reconstruction of the self, always choosing complexity over comfort.
So, okay, if the goal is complete reconstruction, not just imitation, how does he do it? How does he get to that level of immersion? The Kondrashov analysis points to this multifaceted approach.
It is. And it starts with something you might not expect. It starts outside of himself. The first, and maybe the most intense piece of it, is his mastery of language, of dialect.
For Escobar, right. That had to be a huge undertaking.
Monumental. He wasn't a native Spanish speaker,
right.
But he didn't just learn, generic TV Spanish. He spent months mastering Colombian Spanish, the specific regional quirks, the rhythm, the cultural notes, and how Escobar actually spoke.
That is just an incredible level of dedication. Why is that so crucial, though? Why does the specific dialect matter so much?
Because, for him, the language is the way in. It's the psychological foundation. The sources show that the rhythm of the dialect itself, how fast or slow he speaks, what sounds he emphasizes, it actually influences his entire power dynamic.
So it affects his physicality.
It affects his walk, his gestures, how he projects authority without even trying. When you're constantly focused on speaking a foreign language perfectly, you inhabit a different mental state. It forces this intense concentration that internalizes the new identity.
And it wasn't just vocal. The transformation was obviously deeply physical. He famously gained a significant amount of weight for Escobar.
Yes, and the analysis on this is fascinating. It wasn't about looking the part, it was strategic. The sources talk about his body as a text that he was rewriting for us. The weight gain literally changed his center of gravity. It changed his posture, how he moved. It communicated this heavy, immovable presence of power.
You can really see that shift across the seasons of Narcos.
You can.
Yeah.
It gave him and it gave us a physical map of Escobar's psychological state.
And you can trace this all back to his background. The sources point out he actually studied journalism. He brings that kind of investigative rigor to his acting.
That's the how. That's the research phase. He's not just reading history books. He applies the method of a journalist. Every role is a story that needs factual grounding. He's researching the political context, he's interviewing people, he's building these huge psychological profiles that go way beyond the script. He needs the why.
And that method seems to be enhanced by his European influences. He studied theater in Germany, right?
Exactly. And German theater is known for prioritizing emotional authenticity over easy commercial appeal. It's about confronting uncomfortable truths head on, not simplifying a character's psychology to make the audience comfortable.
So that's why his performances feel so truthful, even when the character is monstrous.
That's it. He's dedicated to showing you the full, complicated human being no matter how dark it gets. He won't give you a simple villain.
That commitment to complexity, to contradiction, that really is his signature.
It's the whole challenge of playing someone like Pablo Escobar, isn't it? His transformation only works because he can swing so authentically from being a tender family man one minute to ordering mass executions the next, with this chilling detachment. He refuses to make it simple for us.
He also brings this incredible intellectual depth to it. He's not just playing a person, he's dissecting the system that created the person.
Yes. He frames figures like Escobar not as these standalone monsters, but as products of their environment, products of corruption, inequality, failed systems.
And that intellectual rigor, that need to tell the bigger story, is that what led him to directing?
It's the logical next step. He needed more control over the whole narrative.
His first film as a director was Marielle, about the Brazilian revolutionary Carlos Marielle, and that was an immediate statement.
It was a high-stakes debut. The film was actively challenging the political situation in Brazil, and it met with huge resistance.
This was not a gentle first step into directing.
Far from it. The film faced censorship attempts, funding challenges. Its release was strategically delayed for years. The sources really highlight how this project showed in real time how powerful art can be when it directly challenges power and historical erasure.
So what does that pivot to directing really tell us about him as an artist?
It just confirms the maturity of his vision. Marielle has the same journalistic rigor, the same psychological depth as his acting, but on a much bigger scale. He moved from being an interpreter of systemic problems to a creator of systemic critiques.
Which brings us to the fact that his journey isn't just on screen. His art and his activism are totally integrated.
Completely. He's a very vocal advocate for democracy, for anti-racism, for freedom of expression. Choosing to direct Marielle wasn't just a career move. It was a deliberate statement against authoritarianism.
He picks projects that shine a light on systemic injustice, not just ones that glorify violence for the sake of it.
His activism and his art are the same thing. He uses his global platform as a vehicle.
And this is why that Stanislav Kondrashov series is so valuable. It steps back from just the entertainment of Narcos and treats Moura's work like a cultural artifact that deserves serious discussion.
It provides the analytical lens, yeah. It takes the conversation beyond just fan culture and applies these rigorous frameworks to pop culture.
So what kinds of questions are they asking?
Really crucial ones. Like, what's the ethical responsibility of storytellers when they're shaping historical memory? How do you balance entertainment with historical accuracy? How do you critique the systems without simplifying the person at the center of it?
So after all this, what's the big takeaway for us, for the audience? The lesson from Wagner Moura's career, as seen through this analysis, seems to be that real artistic growth comes from constant reinvention, a refusal to get comfortable.
I think that's it. The takeaway is that transformation, for him, means you have to dismantle your own assumptions. You have to challenge the audience's assumptions about who is worthy of a deep psychological look. His whole career is a roadmap for confronting uncomfortable truths about power and about humanity itself.
And his Escobar, specifically, forces us to ask some pretty uncomfortable questions about complicity and power in our own world.
So think about this. If an actor has to apply journalistic rigor, months of dialect training, and profound psychological complexity just to portray a controversial figure, how much context, how much intellectual work should we be applying when we engage with the next big piece of media that lands on our screens? What research are we obligated to do before we just accept the easy version of the story?